for this episode because I think we're just going to talk about Clive.
Well, I mean, I always have a game plan. Andrew Ferrick always has a game plan. Because Andrew Ferrick is a game developer. I make games. I love video games. I'm working on a new video game now. It's called Peter's Appointment. It's about a guy called Peter. You're making an appointment. Don't know what the appointment's for. You just gotta fill it in your diary. You know how it be. Sometimes you got appointments. Andrew Ferrick don't remember things too good. So it's very much a personal story, except I'm not called Peter, I'm called Andrew Ferrick. Hi there! It's me, Andrew Ferrick. I'm a brand new character. Everyone's gonna love me.
Oh, everybody loves Andrew Ferrick.
Everybody loves Andrew Ferrick.
That's what the show is called now. The show is called Everybody Loves Andrew Ferrick.
Andrew Ferrick, that's me. It's warm outside. It's blistering hot. I got me a brand new invention to help me deal with these summer months, because Andrew Ferrick don't like to be too sweaty. I invented this new thing called pineapple juice. You see, people look at the pineapple, they just think that's a funny little rock with a little hair on top. Little long, tall hair like Gerald from Hey Arnold. But I thought to myself, what if there's something in that pineapple? Andrew Ferrick's gonna get to the bottom of this.
Did you lop it in half? Like with a knife?
Oh, yeah. Well, not with a knife, no, with a brick. Because Andrew Ferrick, like anybody seeing a pineapple, thought it was just a rock. So I thought, I ain't cutting that. I've seen people cut fruit. That ain't no fruit. That's hard and brown. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bash it with a brick. It spat at me. Spat at my eye. Really stung. I thought my eye was going to melt like in Alien. You know, when they cut that little spider open and then that spider starts bleeding and it makes a hole in the floor? I thought it was going to make a hole in my eye.
I feel like Barbara Walters now. Doing a Barbara Walters special. I'm Barbara Walters, and tonight we're speaking with Andrew Ferrick, who's running for office.
Well, hi, Barbara. Thank you for inviting me on. I'm real humbled that my invention, pineapple juice, is taking America by storm. I mean, I can't take all the credit. I only bashed the pineapple open with a brick. It was my friend, Lloyd, who licked my eye to soothe it. He said it tasted delicious, so I said, I'm going to get to the bottom of this, and I'm going to lick that pineapple. That's what I'm going to do, and see how delicious this is. It didn't burn my tongue like it did my eye, and it did taste quite delicious, so I said, right, we're going to turn this into juice. We're going to call it pineapple juice. Make fortune.
Ingenious.
Yeah, I'm pretty good, pretty clever. So I'm such a prolific game developer. I made TerraQuest on the Commodore 64. It's about a guy called Terry.
Let me ask you this.
Oh yeah, I love questions.
What do you say to the allegations that your game TerraQuest is just a bunch of copies of Fatal Fury for the Neo Geo that you stuck a sticker onto that says Andrew Ferrick's TerraQuest?
I can never confirm nor deny those allegations. I ain't never heard no Fatal Fury. I heard a Marvel vs. Capcom, or as I like to call it, Andrew Ferrick's Henry Task. Well, that was Andrew Fuck, everyone. Several minutes of incomprehensible radio. Thank you for dropping by the studio, Andrew Fuck. Right? Oh, yeah, bye. Andrew Fuck, everyone.
He just wandered off.
Yeah, he decided he was done talking, so just got up and left the room. I could see him out the window now. He's just attacking one of my trees with a stick.
He's confused.
But like a twig. Like he's doing more damage to to his weapon than to his target, you know.
So it's like in Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, then, isn't it?
Oh, pretty much. Well, no. This lasted, about 7 swings before it broke, did the twig. So it's a little bit better than a sword in Tears of the Kingdom. Our last podcast was recorded before the Tears of the Kingdom review went up. And then it went up, the podcast went up a little bit after. After a lot happened, actually. Yeah. Hello, by the way, welcome to the Trashgirl Diaries. I'm Stephanie Sterling, and I'm joined, as always, by the lovely Elsa Farron, who we're going to talk about stuff today.
And things.
Oh, my God. Well, aren't you in for a treat, listeners? Aren't those of you who stuck around after Andrew Fuck left, aren't you in for a treat? Oh, dear. I found out today, because I've moved on, because I've become obsessed with Street Fighter VI, which is something I never saw coming. As someone who has always quite famously talked about how they can't play fighting games, can't get into fighting games, for various accessibility reasons, I can't get into it. But those are barriers that Capcom broke down. So I've played enough to be able to do a review of it, which will be the first fighting game I've ever reviewed in my career, not counting Smash, because obviously Smash is its own anomalous little thing.
Yeah.
But I've moved well on. Posted the review, got all the shit for it from all of the fucking, Zelda zealots and all of that. Then there was the whole thing with YouTube age restricting my video, which we found out was because of a screenshot of Michelangelo's The Creation of Adam, which was reversed, but not before they ruined the video's traction and all of that, all of this drama. But I was on the Stephanie Sterling's Trash Palace Discord today, and it'd been pointed out that the review has 230 comments on it. On the Jimquisition.com.
I'm reading them right now. Some of them.
It's a little bit anomalous. What makes me laugh is the really angry Zelda fans who said I'm irrelevant and should be ignored are right. I'm irrelevant. I was never all that relevant, but I'm way less now than I was back at my height, at the height of my power, quote unquote, right? But there's 230 comments on the review, which I stopped reading after I did my video, 3 weeks ago now, where I read some of the comments out. I got bored, and I'm, like I say, I've been obsessively playing Street Fighter VI all week. So to find out that they're still going on...
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised, because people still went on about my Breath of the Wild review right up until Tears of the Kingdom's release. In unrelated things, there was a Polygon post about something that had nothing to do with Zelda, and there was someone in the comments angrily talking about my old Breath of the Wild review. That was a few months ago.
Jesus.
Yeah, they never forgave me. And I thought they'd just, I figured there'd be salt. It's a video game review. There's always salt. I did not expect more salt than last time. For someone who doesn't, I don't matter. I don't matter, Elsa. I don't matter.
I think you do.
Well, clearly. Clearly I do. I matter more to people angry about video game reviews than I matter to myself. And I'm really egotistical. So, I matter to myself quite a bit. Anyway, I'm not going to make this, because I've talked Zelda to death, and I truly have moved on. And the plan is not to talk about Zelda today. But having learned, very recently that there are 230 fucking comments on that review.
Yep, and there's this one guy who, 3 days ago, left 5 comments or something to...
Jesus.
So here's something interesting, because I do voices, and
You do voices.
I'm going to do one of yours. I'm going to see if I can. I'm just going to read one of these comments.
Okay.
The game has the best physics out of any video game, Vervo.
It's really obvious you know nothing at all about game development. You think it's a coincidence all high-profile game designers are praising Botwa and even more this game?
Lovely. That's really, like, I've said before, not on this podcast, but I have said when I've heard you do it, that you're the only person I've ever heard who's come close to doing an impression of me. Most people go for, like, just the Spinal Tap voice. They're like, it's a British person, so I'm going to talk like this. Or they'll do the I'm a British person. Like, it doesn't sound like me at all. It's just, like, the shit American does a British accent voice.
Yep. And they always go, like, really, really thick Cockney, because that's the only thing they can think. Like, because, like, to an American, the only British accents that exist are posh and Cockney. That's it. Yeah. That's your fucking lot.
And I have none. Like, I have something of a unique British accent because I've moved around the world so much. And it might not be that perceptible to American listeners. It was like a wrestling show I was at a couple of weeks ago, Effie's Big Gay Brunch. And a woman who was working the bar spoke to her a little bit after the show, and she was fascinated by my voice. And it was because, like as we conversed, like she said, like she could pick up that it was slipping into this sort of very slight hint of American. I guess in a sort of homeopathic way, just sort of like in a seltzer way. It's like the slight hint of flavour in the fizzy water that is my British accent.
The idea.
Yeah. The idea of an American accent is in my British accent. So when people just go for the straight, like, Cockney voice, it doesn't work. I do consider myself very difficult to mimic, based chiefly on the fact that I've never heard anyone do a one-to-one impression. But as far as getting close to it, you are the one that gets closest.
You honour me.
In terms of doing impressions of, like, my characters, that was a fucking excellent Duke Amiel.
Oh, thank you.
That was fucking excellent. I don't know anything about game development. I wonder how many, smash hit video games that fucker's written for.
Yeah.
I get to bust that out now. I get to just bust that out.
Yeah.
How many BAFTA award-winning games did that guy write for?
It's just Ben.
Just Ben. Ben, mate, how many BAFTA award-winning Game of the Year, mind. All right, let's get it right. Yeah. How many BAFTA award-winning games did you write for? Ben. I bet it's Ben Kuchera.
I bet it's Ben Shapiro.
Oh, it is. Ben Shapiro just furious.
Wait, hang on. Let me see if I can find another one of these. See, because I'll just... Okay. And then you complain about slippery surface, despite the fact that you could just create a bunch of elixirs negating the rain. Slippery effect in a matter of seconds. There's also a late game armor preventing the slippery surface. So now I have debunked every one of your complaints in my 4 posts and proved the real problem is you don't even know how to play the game.
Oh my god! That is fucking brilliant! That is... Oh my god. Right, the next time I do, like, shitty comment reading on the Jimquisition, I'm gonna have to get you into the recording booth, my dear, because doing them as Ben Shapiro is fucking genius. That was brilliant. Oh, I'm made up with that.
I can...
Oh, that is brilliant. Oh, mate, Ben just got roasted. He's going to have to contribute to a rising wave of fascism across America to cope with it now. Don't do that, Ben.
Don't. No, it's not worth it.
Yeah, if you're a different Ben from Ben Shapiro, don't do that, because that's already, like, happened. It's not great. We don't need more of it.
We've already got a Ben doing that.
Yeah, if you're a different Ben, what other famous Bens are there? There's Ben Drowned. You can follow in his footsteps, you twat.
Ben Affleck.
Yeah, Ben Affleck. Be more like Ben Affleck. Ben from the comments.
Yeah.
Right. We've got important business of the day.
Yeah.
Were we moving on to something? Because I know I said I didn't want to linger on Zelda, and it has just struck me that the recording at least says we've been going for 18 minutes and 24 seconds. I realised that some of that was Andrew Ferrick. It's time to move on and heal America. We got to move on from all of this Zelda.
All of this controversy.
Yeah, like,
Such
you know,
as it is.
I'm not... It's like, if you want to play a baby game, like, that's fine. Enjoy your Zelda, like with all the other scrubs. But, like, I'm a fighting game player now. Like, I play Street Fighter VI. Like, I'm part of the fighting game community is my new thing I'm going to start saying to upset people.
You're part of the FGC. Will we see you at EVO? Will we see you there?
I'm very much a luminary of the VKK, and I think I will be representing at EVO. Yes, very much so. Playing my main in Street Fighter VI, Lilith.
Oh, Lily.
No, Lilith. She's got wings.
Oh, from Darkstalkers.
Oh god, I mixed them up. Sorry, I'm new to this. I'm very much a hardcore elite member of the fighting game community.
Oh, absolutely. No, you were there in 2004.
Oh, absolutely. Whenever whatever happened in 2004 happened, I was there for whatever that was.
I think that this bit is funnier because you're talking to someone who, was part of the fighting game community for some time. And sillier though I was.
Yeah.
And I mostly just played Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and Street Fighter 3. But now you're playing Street Fighter 3 twice.
Right? It's like 2 3s duct taped together. Only with a big muscly gladiator woman.
God,
who does punching.
She's
and it's
great.
like, fight with all your heart, and then just punches someone. And she's polyamorous and bi.
Yes, she is. And if ever there was something that was going to tempt me to buy Street Fighter VI, despite my aforementioned breakup with fighting games, it would be just to play as Marisa.
She's really good, really fun.
Oh, I bet she is.
I've been copying her moves in real life for my wrestling. Because she does this thing where she grabs someone's arm, twists it behind their back, and bends them over. And, like, keeps their arm, like, wrenched behind their back, towers over them from behind, like, mounted, and then punches them in the back of the head. I can't do the punch good. Because in the positioning I'm at, the only way I'm going to get any, like, sound off it is if I stomp when I do it. And it's looking just a little too fake. I can do other things, like lock in an arm bar, or, like, work some shoulder stuff, or, like joint manipulation. But it is very powerful. Like, grabbing someone's arm, wrenching it, bending them down and mounting them like that. Like, for the Commander Sterling character, it is fitting so well into my moveset. And I just love that I can just do a Street Fighter move as part of my wrestling moveset.
You were doing a Street Fighter move before, because your beautiful spinning wheel kick is part of the repertoire of a character in Street Fighter 3 named Sean.
Oh.
Sean was introduced in Street Fighter 3 and has not been seen elsewhere, but he is meant to be Ken's apprentice. He's Ken's sort of protege, the Miles Morales to his Peter Parker, if you will.
I see.
And speaking of Street Fighter 3, because I played Street Fighter 3 for 2 fucking decades, I've made a promise to myself that I will buy Street Fighter 6 if, and only if, my main from Street Fighter 3 Third Strike appears in Street Fighter 6. And so far it hasn't happened.
No?
No, it's Remy. Remy has not... He isn't in Street Fighter 6 or any Street Fighter other than 3.
Oh.
He's a tall, lanky, broody, pretty boy with, like, floppy blue hair. He's sort of the resident anime edgelord of Street Fighter, which otherwise doesn't really have one.
Oh, yeah. Looking him up. Looks a bit like Noctis from Final Fantasy XV, if he was an online gamer's idea of what an SJW looked like.
Yes, except he talks like somebody from Reddit. There's so much affected nihilism there. At one point he says, oh, when I dive into the sea, I feel so cold. It is as cold as my heart, which can never be healed.
What a little boner!
I know! I kind of want to fuck him. But I've had to make peace with that.
I wouldn't want to be fisted by him. His sprite has massive hands.
I know, right?
bigger than his head.
His hands are huge. And you know what they say? You know what they say about guys with big hands?
Yeah, it makes your cock look really tiny when you're wanking. I should know. I've got big hands. And an average-sized penis.
You know, so do I. Have big hands, I mean. My penis is quite small. Anyway, you mentioned Final Fantasy. And,
Final Fantasy!
Yes! The demo for Final Fantasy XVI came out.
And indeed, this is one of the reasons we had to... Like, I want to do this, like, once every 2 weeks, the Trashgirl Diaries. Real life scheduling and things prevented that for me, but had to get done because Trashgirl Diaries is nothing if not an unofficial / official Final Fantasy fan cast approved by Square Enix.
Totally.
Absolutely. So we had to do it because the Final Fantasy XVI demo, as you say, came out. Now you are... you're a bit of a bugger for that Final Fantasy, aren't you? If we're quite honest.
I like it a bit. I like it a bit, you know, and I think that, I think we are an official fan cast. I high-fived Naoki Yoshida in 2014, and I think that's all the approval you need. It's in writing, basically.
There we go. And once Square Enix Europe had a board meeting where the executives told the rest of the staff that they don't want me to do any more videos about them. So, in a way, we all have our acknowledgements from Square Enix.
Fabulous.
That's the rumor I heard. I will say it's not been 100% confirmed, but I was contacted once to be told that's what happened.
I believe it.
I mean, they are aware of me.
You know, it would be easy to get you to not make any more videos about them if they stopped being fuckers.
Yeah, just stop fucking about, you pricks.
Yeah, just
stop fucking about.
Just stop with the NFT bullshit. Stop. Mm-hmm. Okay, so here's the thing about Final Fantasy XVI, right? I mentioned Naoki Yoshida.
Yeah.
He has done multiple interviews pertaining to Final Fantasy XVI where he has just made an absolute chocobo's ass of himself.
God, yes.
And I'm...
Fantastic.
Sorry, I had some really, really good French fries with my lunch. Just delicious stuff. Anyway. Fans of me from talking to women about video games will probably appreciate that.
Oh no, I'm mucking out. This is very much like meeting my heroes.
It's funny because that's what I say about you all the time. But you being my personal hero aside, Naoki Yoshida is also the producer of Final Fantasy XIV, or of the relaunch of Final Fantasy XIV. Mm-hmm. For the uninitiated, Final Fantasy XIV was released as a PC-exclusive MMORPG in 2010, and it was very bad. It tanked. It actually tanked so hard that the entire dev team was replaced. And at the helm was the producer, Naoki Yoshida, affectionately known by the community as Yoshi P for reasons I can't quite pin down.
It just makes me think of a little green dinosaur, like, taking a piss.
Yeah.
Up the side of a tree.
Slowly turning from yellow to green again, as it happens. But...
yeah, like it starts, like, turning green again from the top.
Yep.
Just as it empties, just down, down. While Yoshi is stood like a man, like the very stereotypical man at like a pub urinal, like slightly apart, both hands on it. Mm-hmm. Could do it with one hand, but wants to give the impression that he needs to, just coughing a little, just like that, jostling a little.
Or the one hand leaning against the wall, maybe.
Oh my god, I can see that perfectly. I can see Yoshi at a pub urinal, hand leaning, tiny little fart just comes out, just a little one of those ones. jeans sort of pulled down a bit, with like a belt with a skull on it.
You can see a bit of his ass cracked.
My only experience with men are like the kind of people that my dad and my evil stepdad used to hang around with. So I'm imagining Yoshi is some sort of like drunk middle-aged biker who should know better. I've started to process my trauma through the medium of a beloved Nintendo character urinating in a bar. That's brought us very far away from Yoshi P. Let's circle back to that.
Yes. So Naoki Yoshida took over production of Final Fantasy XIV, and his decree, as far as I know, was just, fuck it, we're going to start over. This is a dud. We're cutting our losses, and we're doing it again. The result was 2013's Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn, which, continues to be a massive success and is my favorite game of all time. And I play Final Fantasy XIV pretty much every day, and I have done since 2013. It's going on a decade now. And so Yoshida has a mystique that surrounds him in the eyes of the Final Fantasy XIV player base, who sort of think of him as the person who saved the game from oblivion. And his media appearances at fan festivals and in live streams and stuff like that, he's cultivated this very specific image for himself as the game's cool dad. He cosplays and he's got rings on his fingers. We know what job he plays in Final Fantasy XIV. He's a black mage main. Isn't that lovely? He likes to play as a black mage. Going from that to... And the thing is, I really think that Final Fantasy XVI looks like a great game, and I've, now having played the demo, I'm very excited for it. But just the sheer extent to which that man has gone from being everybody's cool dad to being the uncle at Thanksgiving who says something wrong. Like, we wanted the game to be realistic, and that's why there's no people of color in it.
That is truly just...
Everybody's just sat around the table going, could you pass the pudding corn, please?
Mm-hmm.
Or the stupid accessibility option blunder that you and Laura Dale have talked about on Podquisition, and I defer to y'all's judgment on that.
Reading his interview statements and things, it makes me feel how I feel whenever I speak to a British person who's a boomer. And all I can think in my head is, please don't mention Muslims, please don't mention Muslims. Oh my God, they fucking mention, oh God, right, this is the next hour. As I have to just do what any like self-respecting white person does and look at the floor awkwardly, too afraid to speak up. Oh, family.
But again, I think the game looks fucking fun, and the gameplay, I fucking love this combat so much.
I will say that. Because I played the demo too.
The demo has the, two parts to it. There's the new game portion, which is 50% cutscenes by volume. Then there's the iconic challenge, which takes place later in the game, and they're just okay, we're going to show you some of the shit.
And it's Final Fantasy XVI iconic, not Ubisoft iconic. That's quite good. It's quite good.
Oh, I miss when that was all you had to talk about on the Jimquisition. Like how Ubisoft overusing the word iconic instead of you having to talk about all of the other things that Ubisoft does that are wrong.
Yeah, well, it's one of the reasons why the Jimquisition, in recent months, has taken on a bit of a lighter fare, subject-wise. For me own, sanity more than anything else. And it was just, it's miserable. Sometimes you've got to, you can't ignore all of it. But I have enjoyed getting back to, some breezier subjects. Because, I also miss when Ubisoft overusing the word iconic was, the most pertinent sin I could regularly bring up.
But yes, the iconic challenge in Final Fantasy XIV, and that just gives you the combat and what Clive is capable of later on in the game, and I found that this game has my favorite thing in any action game, which is tether mechanics. Because Clive can learn a technique. He can equip different icons, which are just summons, and use their abilities for himself after, I assume, he eats them.
He better do. And we better see it in, like, gratuitous detail.
Just, like, unhinge his jaw like alive. A snake and just,
Yeah. He lies on his belly with his arms and legs just, like, limp. And he just pulls himself across their body.
With his jaw.
I'm not gonna lie, Elsa, I have come.
Well, I'm glad to have played a part in it in some capacity.
Yeah.
Anyway. One of the abilities he has is called Deadly Embrace. Which I think that's what it should be called when he eats these things.
Oh, absolutely. It's what it's called when I come as well, actually.
Ooh. Is that hot? I'm trying to figure out if that's hot.
It'd be hot if Remy had said it.
He does have a very alluring voice. But anyway. Deadly Embrace is it's a pull. He can, Clive can yank enemies toward him. Unless they're bigger than him. In which case, he actually pulls himself toward them. Any game that allows me to do pulling like that, like pull myself toward my enemies or my enemies toward me, it's why I love DMC Devil May Cry, because of the chains that Dante can use in that game.
Yeah.
The sheer joy on my face when I saw that that's what that technique does, where you can do a combo and that ends with the enemy being sort of blown off their feet with a magic attack, and then you just pull them right back. You pull them right back and you just hit them again and again and again, and it's very viscerally satisfying in the same way that games like Devil May Cry are. I feel like the moves have a really good, like the attacks have a really good sense of impact, and you can tell that there's Devil May Cry's influence there as well.
Yeah.
Because Clive has the stinger. He has the move that Dante has had in every Devil May Cry game, as far as I know.
They've got quite a few options for like closing distance between Clive and enemies, which is always nice. Like the pulling and the yanking and the stinging and the little Phoenix ability that you start with. Yeah. And I will say, like, one of my biggest issues, even the ones I like I loved Final Fantasy XV, but the combat system was still a little bit weird, a little bit squiffy. I felt, as I've said before, that Final Fantasy VII Remake sort of finally hit the stride with the weird attempt to actionize the old, like, RPG systems. But I do think that Final Fantasy XVI is a far better game for just saying, fuck it, we're gonna be Devil May Cry.
I agree.
As much as some may consider it sacrilege, I think Square Enix was continually, like, obsessively, they had this need to actionize Final Fantasy. It was always going to happen, and they have been sort of doing their best to compromise on that, and I think it's led to some games that historically have been a little bit confused and a little bit strange feeling, because they're neither here nor there. Whereas this one is just a straightforward action game. And I think it's a far better game for it.
I think that one of the first instances of them really trying to introduce speed and urgency to Final Fantasy's turn-based combat would be like Final Fantasy X-2, because it had a very fast ATB system. Like, it was just the same ATB system as, 7, 8, whatever had.
Yeah.
But it moved much more quickly, and timing was part of it, because there were combo mechanics, for chaining attacks together. Final Fantasy X-2 is another one of my favorites. I think more egregiously, you had the, whatever the fuck they called the combat system in Final Fantasy XIII. They gave it a pretentious name, and I don't remember it. And while I very much enjoy the combat in that game, it is weird, and it's the same approach as 10-2, but taken to a bizarre extreme. So the pace of things is so quick that they added that auto battle mechanic to make it so that, people wouldn't get overwhelmed. Whereas that would have been the point where I would have just ripped the bandage off. Just make an action game. And so, you had the MMOs 11 and 14, which did their own thing, because you can't really do turn-based combat in an MMO. I mean, I guess maybe you could, but I don't know why you would. And then, as you said, Final Fantasy XV, much more action-focused, but still had that, like there was the wait command, so you could queue up commands by pausing the game, which, I mean, that's fine. I was fine with doing that.
And it had the issue Forspoken has, because of course the same folks worked on it, where it's like, there's just so much going on, and so much animation, and so much like flamboyance, that I was taking damage that felt inevitable, or at the very least too hard to fucking see coming. And overall, it contributed to the idea that the combat was just a little bit messy, a little bit sloppy. Didn't stop me enjoying it. I enjoy Final Fantasy XV very much.
So did I.
Mm-hmm.
Who was your best one of the boys, the beautiful, beautiful boys from the Beautiful Boy Adventure?
It was Prompto.
That's...
Just pretty.
He is pretty. He's pretty and he's sweet.
Yeah.
And he the freckles.
Oh.
It's the freckles. He's got the adorable little freckles. I very much like Ignis as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I liked all of them. I thought Gladio was interesting because he has a sort of very modern version of the whole chivalry thing. Because he takes his job as a knight very seriously.
Yeah.
But, he does feel a lot more modern about it in his sensibilities and the way that he talks. And, Noctis was Noctis. He was in Tekken once. So there's that. And, as a member of the fighting game community, you should be aware of that. You should have known the whole time that Noctis was in Tekken 7.
Oh, I probably knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you knew.
Yeah. No, I definitely knew that.
Totally.
Who's Noctis?
He's the guy from Tekken.
Oh, Liam Neeson.
Yes, that.
Right. Yes, I'm with you now.
You know what I've heard about Liam Neeson?
That his penis looks small when he's wanking because he's got huge hands.
Yeah, no, actually, I've heard that his penis is so big that it doesn't matter
how
big his hands are.
Huge.
I've heard that Liam Neeson, Liam Neeson's one of those. This is actually a beautiful story. Someone was being interviewed, and they mentioned the interviewer mentioned offhand that she had briefly dated Liam Neeson, and she said, "Yeah, he unzipped his pants and a large Evian bottle flopped out."
Oh.
And there have been many other reports of Liam Neeson having a absolute mammoth of a schlong. Much like Willem Dafoe.
I was just about to say, because obviously, when I think of a big celebrity penis, I'm going to think about Willem Dafoe, which I have seen. There was that clip of him doing, I could only describe it as experimental theatre, where he was dancing naked with a lot of people, and it really was just it was like a hyena's clit.
It really was no, I think it was bigger than a hyena's clit.
I mean, it was thicker. It was thicker for sure.
Thing was the size of his fucking forearm swinging past his fucking knees.
It was like an adult holding an apple, but like a bigger apple.
Yes.
Relative to a baby, holding an apple in terms of size proportion.
And the glands.
The glands. We can't forget the glands, Elsa.
We can never forget the glands. That's the important bit.
Keep it in mind.
That's where the cum comes from. You know who else has a big penis? Is Daniel Craig.
Right. The James Bond man.
Yes, he was the Bondman. And he was also Mr. Knives Out.
Mr. Outcome the Knives, a film I have seen.
I haven't, but I've heard good things.
The first one, very good. The second one looks like it'll be shit. At some point, suddenly becomes brilliant. And you found out that the real twist of the film is that you are watching a good film all along. Like, genuinely fucking clever. I started watching it and I'm like, oh, this is some try-hard contemporary shit. And then just at some point, a switch is flipped in Knives Out 2. And you're like, oh! No, actually, no. Andrew, come back in. The film's good. All right. Sorry, with all the contemporary jokes and the COVID stuff, I thought they were trying too hard to be modern. No, it's actually quite good. They flip the script. I love it when flips get script. Anyway.
I bring up Daniel Craig's penis because that was actually mentioned in an interview by Dame Judi Dench.
Oh.
Who apparently, just by happenstance, saw Daniel Craig's penis and described it as monstrous.
Monstrous?
And, coming from Judi Dench, if Judi Dench says his penis is monstrous, I choose to believe that it is.
So you like the Final Fantasy XVI demo?
I did. I'm really intrigued. I think it's kind of adorable that they've clearly just now found out about Game of Thrones and they really want to share this discovery with the world.
Like, I've seen, like, mixed opinion on it, but the word I've been using is cute. Like, I genuinely think it's cute that Final Fantasy is, like, doing all blood and sex and violence and saying the bad F words. They say the bad F word, Elsa.
They say the fuck word in it.
They say the fuck word. And there's a bit near the beginning, right, where the big beefy man, right, is clearly going to do a sex on a girl.
Oh my God.
And she wants it. She's like well up for it. She's fucking
God,
dripping.
she really is though, isn't she?
Oh God. Like that bit where she looks at the camera and just goes, God, fucking hell, I'm fucking dripping. Like that was the moment I was like, yep, Final Fantasy's grown up. She's fucking dripping. Final Fantasy's come home.
She looked at the camera and she said, "Oh, I'm well horny."
Right? Oh, I'm proper fucking horny. I'll bet you're wanting to see my tits now, you fucking bastards. You dirty little grot bags. Oh, all right, you can have a little peek.
Having said that character, Benedicta, I do find her extremely attractive.
Right? And I found out, like, in the backstory, Benedicta.
Benedicta?
Yeah. Benedicta hard.
Sorry, I just got that.
So did she. She's proper horny, though.
Oh, God. I'm seeing spots. Oh, God. The only way that it could be better, the only way it could be more for adults is if Angela White was in there.
Oh, my God, yes. If Angela White...
Have her just show up, like, in the middle of a sex scene.
She should just, like, show up, pin Benedicta against the wall, and just finger blast her.
Yes, actually. I was thinking she would just show up while Clive is going into somebody. Just walk on camera and go, "And I'm Angela White," and then leave. But seeing Angela White finger blast Benedicta is now something I did not know that I wanted, and I want it. Isn't it, though?
Right? I would like Benedicta's dress.
Oh, God, so, like, with the feathers all around the...
Like, the weird little shoulder capey, like mantle thing with feathers on that, then the big high collar that are feathers.
Yeah, because she turns into a big bird.
He turns into a big bird.
She turns into a big bird with tits.
It's an elegant dress with a lot of flow, but it does have individual legs so that she can, like, proper straddle the big bloke. Who's clearly just the big, like, hulking Witcher from the Witcher series.
Sure,
like,
why not?
it's just that big fella from Witcher 2, and to a lesser extent Witcher 3. God, she is...
She's great. She's
really good.
She's delightful. I'm interested in so let me ask you this: how did you feel about Clive's shit mother? Because his mother was just a bitch to him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is all part of the whole... Because I've seen some people, like, say that they don't necessarily think that Final Fantasy XVI is, like, aping Game of Thrones. It's just aping, like, hard fantasy tropes. I disagree. It's very clearly, like, trying to be Game of Thrones. And that's one of the elements that indicates that, because that very much emulates the relationship between Catelyn Stark and Jon Snow from the Game of the Thrones. The mother figure who has it out for... Obviously, the relationship is slightly different, but it is still parental mother figure, unfavourite child, son, that kind of relationship. I mean, they've even got a fucking ward. Voiced, I'm pretty sure, by the protagonist from Plague Tale. But they've even got, like the girl with the grey hair, or was it white hair, something like that.
Oh, Jill. Jill was her name.
Fucking glorified hostage. She's a ward from the rebellious sort of raidery types who were put down, and then they were kept in place by her being held as a hostage. Like, it's just Theon Greyjoy. This is not a generic hard fantasy template. This is Game of Thrones. That whole setup is Winterfell. But yes, in that regard, once again, cute.
Yeah.
But I will say, they do have a sort of a subversion with that, because whereas Catelyn remains a sympathetic character in Game of Thrones, obviously we have that bit towards the end of the story demo with the mother, where it's like, oh wow, you really are a twat.
Yeah, no, when it was revealed that she was the one who let the Empire in, spoilers for the demo of Final Fantasy XVI, when it is revealed that she's the one who let the Empire in and allowed for Rosaria to crumble. At that point, I was just like, wow, this bitch is terrible. She is, ugh. And then, and then she has the Imperial soldiers just casually murder her handmaidens for no reason.
I'll say this as well, like, after Final Fantasy 15, and honestly, after a lot of, like, more recent Final Fantasies and that, and a lot of games in general, I'm liking seeing some, like, introduced early in the game, straight up personal villains. Because I rolled my eyes at first when they started talking about the Blight, where I'm like, I do not need another game where the main villain is the concept TM. Like, the corruption, the darkness, the gloom, like, all of that shit. Like, you've got Benedicta, you've got the mother, you've got, like,
Big Boy,
like, some of the other teases and stuff. Like, I'm excited for the prospect of actual cunt villains who have a personal involvement with the protagonist. And, because, like, you know, the eventual villain of 15 was great.
Yeah, Arden.
Like, scenery chewing, camp. But for most of the game, he's not that.
No, he's not.
Like, he isn't really, like, a proper villain until almost the very end, from what I remember. Until then, he's just sort of bit mysterious, bit dickish, probably a baddie. But you don't get a real sense. It's not until, like, that... Because, I mean, 15 has that problem through and through, especially in its original incarnation, where it's like a lot of it was rushed story-wise, so nothing could really mature and grow and develop properly in a natural storytelling fashion. Whereas this, like... Yeah, just the early introduction of, like, these are some real, like, premium assholes.
Right? Like,
you're gonna hate them.
And I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it as someone who I you know, nothing makes me happier than seeing someone that I know I'm gonna fucking love to hate.
Mm-hmm.
because there is so much catharsis in that.
And again, it probably comes a little bit from that Game of Thrones influence, where one of the big sort of storytelling hallmarks of Song of Ice and Fire is truly irredeemably detestable people. And you know what? I'm up for it. It's been ages since I felt like I've had a proper, like, Colonel Volgin level villain that I really want to see, like, get put down in a video game. So I'm absolutely here for that.
Having said that, the scene near the end of Final Fantasy XV, where Noctis walks into the throne room, and Arden has his father and his girlfriend strung from the ceiling. Like, he has their corpses just strung up. Just to taunt Noctis. It's funny because there's another corpse in that room being strung from the ceiling, and I just imagine Noctis, like, seeing his father's corpse and being infuriated, and seeing his soon-to-be wife's corpse and just getting even angrier, and then looking at this last one and just going, who the hell is he? And Arden's just like, what? Oh, he's from the movie, don't worry about it. Yeah, the main one from the movie. His corpse is dangling from the ceiling on next to Regis and Lunafreya. Because I think they intended for that main character from Kingsglaive to be much more meaningful than he was. Did you ever even watch it, Kingsglaive?
Yes, I believe so. I believe I even did a podcast on it. Can't remember a fucking thing that happens in it now.
You didn't. I know you didn't do a podcast on
Did we
it
not?
because it was a running joke for a little while in Conrad's streams that I would be like, when are you going to do Kingsglaive on the spin-off Doctors? And, I would be increasingly jokingly demanding about it. But it wasn't funny for long, so I just stopped doing it. But that was something I was looking forward to.
Maybe I just watched it then.
You did Spirits Within. You did Advent Children. But not Kingsglaive. Not
Pretty
yet.
sure I have seen it, though. I have seen it. But yeah, must not have done a Spin-Off Doctors podcast on it or anything. Oh well. Still can't fucking remember a thing about it.
Neither can I really, except for one really, really good scene. It's like Warcraft in that respect. It has one good scene.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, there's one scene where because, like, Kingsglaive has the exact same plot as Rogue One, a Star Wars story, where every major character dies, but there's hope for the future.
Mm-hmm.
And, a princess is there to carry on that legacy. But there is a scene where, like, one of the first of them is killed, and another one just has this breakdown over the perceived futility of everything that they're doing. And it's great. And if the rest of the movie had been that emotionally resonant, then Kingsglaive would have been as good as Advent Children.
Yeah.
Because I like Advent Children. I think that Advent Children is actually a good movie.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do. Because I remember very distinctly, I watched Advent Children having not finished Final Fantasy VII. Because I wanted to see if it held up.
Right.
And it is my opinion that it does, but much like Final Fantasy XIII, you really have to wade through a lot of nonsense and look at just the most basic concepts beneath the slew of proper nouns and over-explanations of things, because it's Final Fantasy.
Of course.
Like, when Vincent shows up out of nowhere in Advent Children, you don't really need to know who he is. The context is just like, oh, this is somebody that Cloud knows. This is Cloud's friend from back in the day. Why does he have Spawn's cape? Don't worry about it. What's the deal with his weird gun? Don't worry about it. Now I want to watch Advent Children, but I actually need to go to work soon.
Yeah. And I'm going to hit buy on this little Gator game plush.
Oh, little Gator game.
It's such a good game.
I might actually hit buy on this doll of because they're already making a plush of Torgal, Clive's dog.
Of course they are.
Oh no, there's two. There are two because they know.
They know what they've done. They know what they have on their hands.
I need fucking Capcom to know what they've done with the Blanca-chan plushes.
Those have been around for such a long time.
I can't find real ones.
That's weird to me, because like Blanca-chan has been a thing since the Street Fighter 4 days.
Oh, well, there we are then. You see, I'm kind of new. I'm very much a luminary, an established luminary of the fighting game community, but I'm still quite new. So I haven't seen Blanca-chan before.
Well, let me just say this before we wrap up. Any questions you have, I can probably answer them. And if I can't, I know people who can. So, if you'll allow me to be your vizier as a fighting game luminary, I think you'd need one.
Okay, well, as long as you're not one of them evil ones. Because I've heard...
Nah.
So many viziers in media give viziers a bad name.
I agree.
I'm sure there are some good viziers, but most viziers I know are evil.
Yeah.
If I was a vizier, I'd sue Disney.
Fucking right? And the Prince of Persia people.
And the Prince of Persia people, that's another one, yeah. Mind you, Ubisoft should be sued for a lot of things.
Granted.
Yeah.
But, that dates back to the old Prince of Persia before Ubisoft even owned it.
That's true.
But anyway.
For crying out, God.
For crying out, God. I actually need to be at work in 2 minutes. So I'm going to be late, but that's okay. Because I got to do this.
Yeah.
Priorities. I got them.
Absolutely. And I got myself a little Gator plush.
That's what's important.
I'm not even big on plushes, but it's a little Gator game. I'm just going to have it, sat around.
Put it in the Jimquisition. And then you
Absolutely
could maybe
will.
write it off on your taxes. If that's how it works in the UK. I don't actually know.
There's only one way to find out. Risk an audit. Well.
Steph, you're lovely, and I love you.
Oh, you're lovely, and I love you too. It has been a lovely time. I think
it has been a joy and an
a
honor.
great deal of fun. And I'm just gonna go play Street Fighter 6 again. So good. I can do a Hadouken again.
I could do a Hadouken in the arcades.
That's so good. That is so good. Is there anything you'd like to let the listeners know about? Or anything before you get... No?
Other than my Tumblr URL has changed. It is now Agwan, which is spelled Agwhaan. So if you want to follow me, that is where to do it. I think I may just be posting about Final Fantasy XVI and The Boys, which is a good television show that I recommend.
Excellent.
And until we meet again, my love.
Indeed. Bye.
Ta-ta! I'm so happy that I recorded that.